Thursday, November 12, 1952. Sing Sing Correctional Facility, Ossining, New York. Bumpy Johnson had been incarcerated for 8 months on a narcotics conspiracy conviction that everyone who mattered knew was politically motivated. The Manhattan District Attorney needed a high-profile arrest to show he was tough on Harlem crime, and Bumpy was the biggest target available. The evidence was circumstantial, the witnesses were coerced, the trial was rigged. But Bumpy was convicted anyway, and sentenced to 15 years at Sing Sing, one of the most brutal, maximum security prisons in America. At 48 years old, Bumpy had survived prison before. He'd done time in Alcatraz in the 1930s. But Sing Sing in 1952 was different, more violent, more corrupt, more dangerous. The guards were openly racist, the prison gangs were constantly at war, and the administration turned a blind eye to prisoner abuse as long as it didn't create paperwork. Bumpy kept his head down, followed the rules, avoided confrontation. He was planning to appeal his conviction, and causing problems in prison would only hurt his case. But on November 12, 1952, at approximately 2:17 p.m., 7 corrections officers, all white, all with documented histories of racist violence against black inmates, cornered Bumpy Johnson in the prison workshop, beat him unconscious with nightsticks in an assault so brutal that it fractured his skull, broke 3 ribs, and left him comatose for 18 hours. What those 7 guards didn't know, what they couldn't have anticipated, despite their belief in their own invincibility as armed representatives of the state, was that Bumpy Johnson's criminal organization didn't stop functioning just because he was in prison. His crew on the outside was still operational, still loyal, still watching. And within 6 hours of the beating, while Bumpy was still unconscious in the prison infirmary, all 7 guards had been identified, located, and kidnapped from various locations across New York. By the time Bumpy regained consciousness at 8:23 a.m. Friday morning, all 7 guards had disappeared, vanished, gone. Their bodies would never be found. Their families would never get closure. And the message was unmistakable. You can beat Bumpy Johnson unconscious, but his organization will make you disappear before he wakes up. To understand what happened on November 12th and why the response was so swift, so comprehensive, and so permanent, you need to understand how Bumpy Johnson maintained power even from inside Sing Sing. Most criminal organizations fall apart when the boss goes to prison. Leadership vacuum, internal conflicts, competing factions. The organization fractures and dies, but Bumpy had been preparing for this possibility for 20 years. He'd built redundancy into his command structure, multiple lieutenants who could operate independently, clear chains of communication, established protocols for every scenario, including his incarceration. When Bumpy went to Sing Sing in March 1952, he didn't lose control of his organization. He adapted. Daily phone calls through bribed guards, written messages smuggled out through visiting attorneys, face-to-face meetings with key lieutenants during approved visitations. The operation continued, numbers running, heroin distribution, protection rackets, all functioning normally, despite Bumpy being locked in a cell. More importantly, Bumpy had established a security protocol. Any threat to him, anywhere, including prison, triggered immediate investigation and response. Marcus Webb, Bumpy's top lieutenant on the outside, received daily reports from 3 informants inside Sing Sing, guards on Bumpy's payroll, inmates who owed him favors, kitchen staff who overheard conversations. Nothing happened to Bumpy without Marcus knowing within hours. This surveillance system was